Hey guys, this is Corey Maselli with Squat Life Interviews number 7. Our guest today is Joe Giustino.
Yes, sir.
Our audience and video production crew include Andy Leckie. Got that right? Storm and Steve Norman over here. Are you here, Steve?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, he is here. Joe Giustino is currently owner of Core FSN, stands for Fit, Speed, and Nutrition.
Yes, sir.
I know for a good stretch you own another business, Speed School. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
How long did you own Speed School, Joe?
Right now we're going, this April will be 12 years.
That's fantastic. Joe and Andy also run a podcast, Coach and the Kid, correct?
Yes.
How do people tune into that? How do you find it? Is Google Coach and the Kid?
Or go to Arrow.
Okay.
Arrow.com?
Arrow.com?
Arrow.com, right?
Anchor.
Anchor.com.
Anchor.com.
Yeah,
but
my fault.
Anchor.com,
Yeah.
Coach and the Kid.
Coach
And
and the Kid.
Apple Podcast.
Cool. What do you guys cover in that podcast? Obviously, coaching kids, but...
Coaching, lifestyle, we get into the hard topics, the things that we feel are controversial in the world of fitness and health. I mean, we're talking about anything from sexuality to,
sumo
to
cheating?
lifting. Huh?
Is sumo cheating?
And sumo cheating, yeah.
Yes.
Is sumo cheating.
What? I don't care.
Technically, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Absolutely. That's why I do it.
Yeah, okay.
So, I don't. We'll get into that, actually. It is a cool
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
All
People
right.
can move a hell of a lot of weight doing sumo deadlifts.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Some can't move anything doing sumo deadlifts. It's like, yeah, well, that's a cool conversation. Let's
Yeah.
get into it. But right now, you're speed and strength coach. Is that a fair
Yes,
assessment
sir.
of what you do?
Yes.
You've done a
Yes.
real good job of helping a lot of athletes get better.
Right.
You probably couldn't even tell me the exact number because I'm sure it's way, way up
I
there.
have no clue.
Exactly.
I have no clue.
What got you into that, Joe?
Well, I had a passion for fitness ever since I was a young kid. I always liked to play sports. I grew up in the city.
Okay.
So we were really active as kids. We always played sports. We always were running around. We were never inside. We weren't those inside kids playing video games, or we just. It wasn't normal for people to hang out in each other's basements when I was a kid.
Sure.
Nobody's parents let us in, so we had to stay active and do stuff outside. So whether it's raining, cold, snow, or whatever, super
Absolutely.
hot, we were out doing shit. Yeah, and there was a big old park next across the street, so we were just into it. We were active kids, rough and tumble. We just enjoyed being outside. We enjoyed just being physical. We wrestled, we played baseball, we played football, and then once one of my buddies' dad bought some weights for the basement. My dad had his weights in my bedroom. You just were used to seeing this shit or tripping over all this stuff. And
Yeah.
I watched my dad lift weights his whole life, ever since I was a kid. And my buddies' dads were doing it too, so we just started picking the shit up and doing whatever we could figure out.
Very
so
cool.
there's no rhyme or reason. Nobody taught me anything about lifting weights when I was a kid.
Right.
I just did what came natural or what we could remember other people doing.
When did you first realize that it could be a bona fide business and career for yourself?
Wow. I think once I started thinking for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after I went to school and worked for a couple different health clubs or gyms, I started thinking a better way to do that and package it. So then I left actually 10 years. I left the St. Charles area. I used to work at Export and I used to work at Delnor.
Okay.
And I left the St. Charles area after 10 years and moved out to New Jersey and worked underneath Martin Rooney and Bill Parisi and learned how to
cool.
learn the skills of speed.
Absolutely.
I learned how to take speed and monetize it. I learned how to program it. I learned how to put it into positions so I can actually sell it as a program.
Right.
Instead of just taking kids out to the park and just doing some sprints and doing some band work or
For sure.
whatever. Or working on a few mechanics that I was trying to put together over the years. I finally was able to put it all together and utilize it in a way that could be sold as a class.
Yeah.
And then from there it just kept on growing and growing and growing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm going to shift gears a little bit because I know you'll like this conversation. I used to work with a similar background as Joe, done some speed and strength coaching over the years, and I had a chance of working with a NFL player who played fullback. Joey Goodspeed was his name, and he would come back each year and say, "Corey, I'm telling you, I can tell it's faster and they're hitting harder this year every single year." So when I hear people sitting in a bar watching a football game, they've sissified the game. No, they haven't.
Yeah.
What's your take on the advancement, the evolution? We're going to talk football right now. This is coming off football season. It's my favorite sport. I love all athletics, but damn it, it's my favorite sport. Both former football players.
Sure.
People love football. Let's talk about, from your perspective, how, just whatever language you choose to use, how has the game advanced? How has specialized training helped it? And where do you see it going in the future?
Football has definitely become more of a speed game. I mean, it's always had the speed variable, the components of speed, but now it's that much more important because the game's that much faster. All right, they want to sell the NFL. I mean, it's a business, so they want a lot of scoring, and a lot of scoring gets people excited.
Yeah,
right? So the game had to increase. The speed of the game had to increase. Right, so less timeouts, less time with certain things, less instant replays. They're getting rid of the kick return, basically.
Yeah.
So they're changing the dynamic of the game. Anything that's going to slow it down.
Right.
But with that being said, the running game, unless you have a bona fide running back, the running game is kind of taking a backseat to the short pass game or the big game, the big passing yard game. So
My theory on that is run defense has gotten really good, and the average running back is so superior nowadays to what it was years ago.
Right.
It's just a different game.
Well, you look at that cat from the Titans, from Alabama, Derrick Henry, right?
Heck yeah.
He's a beast, right? He's
Absolutely.
just as big as a lineman, all right, but as fast as a skill guy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it is crazy. So the speed of the game is definitely increased. The level of athleticism is definitely increased. So both guys on the offense and the defense are just as fast as each other.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like who's going to wear each other out first, right?
Check this out, Joe. I remember, you go back in time, 15 years, NFL Combine, an offensive lineman ran a 5.40 40. That was fast. That was awesome.
Like Ryan Khalil.
Now, I just looked at the last year's Combine results. They're 330-pound dudes running 5.49. Right. So just a testament to what you're saying, the speed of the game, even at that position, is just full throttle. It's so much better.
The level of athleticism in today's athlete has increased. They're not like, they're like, I like to say that today's athlete's like a Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
They're super high level, but they're not durable. They break real easy. Like back in the day when we were young, we were like Chevelles. You're going to get some yardage out of us no matter what. Right. We're going to finish the game. If we get hurt, we're going to get through it faster. We can take the pounding. We can take the hits. You know what I mean? You can play both sides of the ball if you played high school football.
Yeah.
The level of recovery wasn't as much as it is today because the level of injuries weren't as great, weren't as high. I mean, plus too, you also think about like, a lot of us didn't say anything about the concussions that we were getting. A lot of us didn't bitch and moan when we were getting hurt as much as guys are today.
Absolutely.
I think we're more accustomed today of letting everybody know everything about us. Nobody really kept things to themselves as much.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like back in the day, you and I did. If we busted ourselves, if we got hurt, we weren't running to the trainer.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? We kind of handled things on our own. We knew we twisted our ankle, we knew we busted our elbow or our wrist, or we jammed a finger, and we just dealt with it. Right. I mean, it was just we understood it was part of the game. Just like with powerlifting, you understand that there's going to be some pain associated with powerlifting, and it's going to hurt for a long time. And you're just going to learn how to deal with it. But you still got to get your reps.
Yeah.
Right. You still got to get your sets and reps in. Right. You got to find a way to get through it. I think today we're so used and accustomed to taking a lot of that pressure off, a lot of that physical, mental, and emotional pressure off that we have to learn how to deal with a little bit of pain and actually use that adversity to push us forward.
I've always said pain tolerance is an athletic attribute.
It's true.
Without question.
Without a doubt.
All right, let's, it's kind of random, but let's talk about it now. It doesn't even flow into what we're talking about. We touched upon earlier. Is sumo cheating? Conventional deadlifts, sumo deadlifts. We're going to touch on it just because it's an interesting subject to me. It's two different exercises.
It is.
It's the same in principle. The bar starts on the floor. You stand upright with it. And I've studied this in great depth. If you look at the world records that are set, it's about a 50-50 split, sumo versus conventional. But I'm a darn good deadlifter. I'm ranked number 3 in the world in the 308 weight class. I do that in a sumo stance. The two gentlemen ahead of me both do it in a conventional stance. Very similar numbers. So my take on this is, if your hips are not able to be strong in a wide position, you will never be a great sumo deadlifter. Most great sumo deadlifters can pull a pretty darn good amount conventional, which is more quad drive and lowering your back, as opposed to sumo deadlift, which is more glute, lats, and getting how much speed you can get your hips under your shoulders with.
Sure.
What's your take on it?
I think as far as competition is concerned, standard deadlift, conventional deadlift, superior to anything else. Same with the squat. I mean, we're going to start front squatting now because we can't put the bar on our back. So what I'm saying...
I'm never going to front squat.
But, I mean, from an athletic standpoint, we have to learn the front squat because we need to learn to catch position for the clean.
Sure.
Right? So I understand why the front squat's important. But as far as the sumo deadlift is concerned, I think people who don't have good range of motion, people aren't really strong in the hole, all right, will cheat by putting their toes out in sumo deadlift. So no disrespect to the people that like the sumo deadlift, that are really great athletes, are really great power lifters and anything of that sort, but I feel like as far as competition and world record wise and things like that, I don't think that should even be a category. right? In my eyes, I think
Sure, I
maybe it's an
understand.
accessory to improving the lockout phase of the deadlift. If it's an accessory to build up weak areas in your range of motion, if you think that's going to help improve the overall the combination of just the deadlift and you know what I mean, I think then there's a place for it.
My standpoint is this: people that think sumo deadlifting is cheating don't have strong hips. So there is some truth to that too. I'm kind of damning you a little bit. But in powerlifting, it's either way. You can choose your bench press grip here, here, here. As long as it's within, whatever the dang allowed position is, it counts. So from a pure competition standpoint, it is anything goes. You can do overhand, flip grip, double over, whatever.
Sure.
Any grip, So in powerlifting, in that pure arena of strength competition, sumo equals conventional. That's just the way it is. I know strongman deadlift, which is gaining a lot of popularity, it's conventional only. You can use straps, takes the grip element away, and you can hitch and do all kinds of things. So in that realm of competition, there is no such thing as sumo deadlift. It's not cheating, it's just flat out not allowed.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's cheating because it can't be. I think if your primary lift is conventional, I think sumo is a fantastic accessory exercise, and vice versa. If your primary is sumo, I always suggest learning how to conventional deadlift first, and they will help each other out, no doubt.
Well, then let's talk about this. All right, maybe I offset it with my kind of like my thought, my thoughts about, like, say, trap bar deadlifting.
Sure.
So where do you feel the sumo and the trap bar deadlift, all right, conflict with the standard deadlift?
Well, I don't know if this directly answers your question. I think trap bar deadlift is awesome for a big group or a quick introduction to deadlifting because it's just from the center plane of the body, it's just flat out easier to teach a kid how to get in position and do the lift. So I think that could be an awesome accessory exercise to either one. If you look at the man that owns the world record in my weight class and the 275 weight class, Constantinos, he was a big trap. He used it frequently as an accessory to his deadlift.
Do you think it's a manifestation of where society has gone based on dysfunctional movement pattern? Think about, like kids today can't get in position, right?
Perhaps.
Or you can even say the same thing about the belt squat.
Yeah, I think it has its place. It's not a replacement. It's an accessory.
Coach, it is being replaced. If you look at most high school weight rooms now, we're not standard deadlifting. We're belt squatting. We're not putting a bar in our back, right? Or we're using that.
It's an easy way out. But I mean, if we've got some athletes in, it's a tool we can use.
Of course it is.
But I just don't think it's an exclusive
But
replacement.
for the survival of the sport and tradition of what we started back in the day, from strength and conditioning standpoint, we're losing that.
I agree.
We're losing 100%. The battle. What I mean? So
with that said, I've done a trap bar deadlift once in my life.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it.
Yeah.
But I just know there's a lot of people out there that should not be coaching anyone how to deadlift, and in that case, I'd say trap bar deadlift is probably a better option.
Sure.
But it's laziness. People probably don't want to take the time to learn how to coach it or how to do it.
That's a huge thing. Is I think a lot of people don't want to take the time to coach it.
Right.
Because they feel it slows everything down.
Yeah.
We're too worried about getting kids in and out, or people in and out, working and facilitating the monetization of everything too. Like time is money, so we don't want to spend too much time because then people equate that with, well, hey, I'm not getting what I wanted. So even though they're really learning a shitload about lifting, which is going to catapult them in the long run, the time spent doesn't seem like a lot of value to them because of we're not sweating per se, or our heart rate isn't getting way up for a long period of time because we're learning how to do something.
I'm gonna shift gears again on you. I want your take on this. Back in the day when I was fully engrossed in sports performance training, I didn't have anything else going on in my professional life. I did the majority of my speed training indoors in a room that was maybe at most 16 yards long. Mm-hmm. So that's the space we had to work. And I did a lot of change direction, a lot of 10 yards, max speed effort, and you better break down. You either hit the wall or you stop.
Right.
We did a lot of that training. And I saw all my athletes get wicked results in their 40-yard dash time. Mm-hmm. A couple years later, I had an opportunity to train in a bigger area. We started doing more, 20 and full 40-yard dash, and my kids weren't getting the results they got.
Sure.
So I think sometimes people find what actually works doesn't necessarily make sense in what people think it works.
Sure.
What's your commentary on that?
Well, I think speed is about being explosive. Right. So like if you think about the 10-yard, that first step, the first 5 steps, you know what I mean, is everything. So you want to have a sub like, a 4.3 in the NFL is like a 1 1.3, 1.4,
Yeah.
10, right?
Absolutely.
That's freaking fast.
You better be
right?
able to do
So
it
if
you
you
wanna run
can't
a
cover
4.3.
those first 10 yards, those first 10 yards, let alone get in the right position, you know,
Mhm.
position develops the right pattern of movement. So if you can't maximize the most important part of the phase of the 40, which is the start,
Yeah.
right, then it doesn't really matter how much farther you're going to go, right? Because I guess that's just strength, athleticism, endurance, all those other factors are thrown in, right? But you're really looking for that start. The start, how you start is how you finish,
Right.
You start explosive, you're going to finish explosively.
Sure.
Right? There's things about the top end aspect of the 40 that you can work on later, but it's not the most important thing, right? We see a transition from football to baseball where you go from a 40 to a 60. That's when you have to really focus more on top end speed.
And why do you think the 60s become such a popular?
I have no clue. I don't really know why,
Yeah.
but I know it's something that we have to do with these kids because
Absolutely,
they get tested.
That's
on
how
all
they're
this
going to be
shit.
measured.
That's how they're going to be measured. So I don't know this statistically. I don't understand the significance of it. I think it's another thing, just like with if it's a standard, they don't want to move from it.
Mhm.
Right? People get comfortable in their niches. People get, especially governing bodies, where it comes from measuring and testing. They get comfortable in certain things, and they don't want to change
Right.
because they don't know how to change.
For
right?
sure.
They don't know how to change. You're a popular guy.
Anyway, yeah. So, do you see that changing in the future? Do you see a whole different battery of athletic measurements taking place ever? Or what? With that, remember when we were kids? You're a strength conditioning coach at a big school. You're kind of an also-ran. You're there. You don't have a huge salary. You don't have a big impact on the team. Nowadays, I think the top 10 strength coaches in major college football are making close to $1 million or
Yeah.
something like that. So that's evolved. That's changed.
It is. I think the strength coach at Iowa makes the most. He's around 600 G.
I think there's a couple guys over $1 million now.
Is there really?
Donnie Thompson just posted something
Wow.
recently. And they were boom, boom, boom. They were up there. I'll find it for you. It was
Yeah.
pretty interesting.
Well, that's
man.
pretty cool for us.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
sure
wow.
is. So do you?
Do I see it changing? You know what? Honestly, yes, I do. I see
Me too.
things. I think the metrics now are super huge. This guy Ryan Johansson on Johansson Baseball, he's got a couple different clinics, and now he's working with the White Sox. I met him a long time ago before he started getting into owning his own business. He's truly evolved. But his focus is a lot on the metrics now. You know, I mean, the velocity of the swing and the throwing. I mean, these
Miles
are
per hour.
all this
Literally,
stuff,
yeah.
right? You know what I mean? He's breaking this all down. So I mean, in his facility, they've got computers and cameras and all this data that they're manipulating and putting into all these different categories and trying to come up with all these different solutions and how you guys can fix their swing and throw and all the different positions of the body. And then he's working with another guy who does all this neural connection with how your body moves and how your brain perceives movement. And it's really cool. It's like, I mean, all this, I mean, it has gone from catching the ball, fielding the ball, and hitting the ball to how fast is that ball leaving the bat, how about fast is that ball leaving the hand, and all this different other stuff. So I think it's cool in the sense of we're showing how far technology can increase the athlete, how we can make the athlete more superior.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I mean,
Get on the field and find out.
you got to get on the field. I mean, the ball goes where you hit it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I mean, I guess in the long run, when there's millions of dollars on the line, or the potential of getting scholarships and so on and so forth at stake, how are you separating yourself?
Right.
I mean, yeah, I get it that we have to have those metrics, but you still have to do the work. You still have to do the reps. You
Sure.
still have to eat the broccoli. You still got to have a regimen. You still have to have
I
a
eat
morning
broccoli.
routine. A morning routine. You have to have an evening routine. I mean, you have to have a process that you stick to, that you believe in, and that sense of value that you can build from. I mean, you can't rely on fucking numbers all the time to be the reason why you're doing what you're doing.
No doubt.
That's not really what it's all about. I think what it's all about is, one, having passion and enthusiasm for what it is that you love. And if you have passion and enthusiasm for what it is that you love, then you're going to share that with other people, us as coaches, and that's the impact.
Right.
Now, I mean, it's not like how many home runs you hit. It's not how much you bench press. Life doesn't give a fuck about that.
Right.
Life gives a shit about what footprint did you leave on the ground that somebody else can admire and learn from. What is it, the knowledge that you brought to the game through your blood, sweat, and tears? What's the knowledge that you've lost sleep over and bled over and put endless amounts of energy and effort into that nobody else can compare themselves to? I mean, you have knowledge and experience that nobody has, right? That's unique to you. You have traveled the miles. You have lifted the weight. You have done the journey work, right? That's admirable, and you can't put a price on that.
Right.
Right? You can't analyze that. That's just something that
it's guts, it's heart.
Yeah, it's fucking grit, man.
Testing yourself.
It's something that you and your athlete, by the bar, by the squat rack, by the freaking whatever it is that you're teaching them, you know what I mean? And you're believing in that person, that person's trusting you. That's invaluable. You can't put a number on that. You can't put a fucking price tag on that. You can't, it's just something between you and that person. And that's why we have become successful as strength coaches, is because we've got people that trust us, we believe in them, and we've taken them where they want to go.
Sure.
You know?
Heavy lifting, how does it help an athlete? I'll give you my take, and then it's open mic to you. Here's why I think maxing out or heavy effort in lifting is beneficial to virtually every athlete. That moment. It teaches you how to clear your thoughts, focus in on one thing that's important to accomplish, and how to just like push the nitrous button and go.
Yeah.
So an athlete reaches into max effort. I don't care if it's 400 pounds or 800 pounds. The fact that an athlete had the ability to get in a psychological state to focus and perform at that measurable higher level can carry over to any athletic event you choose. Swimming, volleyball, football, track and field, hockey, whatever. There's always there's those moments where you've got to like lock down and go.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on that?
Strong is strong.
Yeah.
So you can't fucking argue with that. Louis Simmons said it. You
Yeah.
know, strong is fucking strong. Nothing else is strong but strong. Right? So like,
Right.
I mean, legitimately, like, and what's his face? Ed Cohen said, yeah, you know, strong doesn't get you stuck on the bench. You know what I mean? Isn't that what he said? I think
I don't know what it makes
he
sense.
said, like, you know, there's no, you know, being strong never got you any bench time, whatever it mean. You know, you're in the fucking game. So like, strength is the platform for everything.
Yeah.
You know, when you're strong, you're confident. Right? When you lock up, whether you're playing basketball, you're playing football, whatever position, you're two offensive linemen. You got an offensive lineman and defensive lineman. That offensive lineman pops the dude on that snap, right, and knows his position and get his hands on that guy, and they lock up.
Right.
And he knows, the other guy knows, man, this guy's fucking strong. I'm going to have a day.
Absolutely.
Right? You know,
Yeah.
this is going to be tough for me today, right? That's the mental part. Now, knowing that and being able to harness that and utilize that as a tool, right, to take that person out of their own game, strength is the key to everything. So when you do a 500 squat, I fucking can squat 500 pounds.
Yeah.
Right? Now, granted, there is an athletic component that you need to be able to transfer that. So then there's other variables within your training that are really important so that you can take that position and go and utilize it in competition and perform. But since I was a little kid,
Confidence builds confidence.
I'm telling you, confidence, when you're confident, right, and you trust the process, you're more courageous in what it is that you do. You're going to take more risks.
Absolutely.
And it takes risks to win. It takes risks. You know, I mean, you're risking yourself every time you get under that bar.
Absolutely.
And you're at 800 pounds, 900 pounds, you know, 1,000 pounds. That's a fucking risk. You know what? That it might not go right. Right?
There's
But
a lot
you
of things
know.
that can go wrong.
Yeah.
One thing that can go right.
Right, and your ass is going to get that bar back up and
Yeah.
re-rack it. But the thing is that you're confident. Why? Because you did a 400 squat, and a 500 squat, and a 600 squat, and a 700. And usually, what's your max squat? 11:15?
Best ever in the gym is 11:25.
All right, 11:25, right? You did 1,000 pounds, right? So
Yeah.
11:25 is just another fucking 125
Just another
pounds,
number.
right? It's just another number. You've been there, you've done the work, you've had the experience, right? There's something to be said about a person that can put 1,000 pounds on their back. I challenge any athlete today, if he thinks he's strong, put fucking 500 pounds on that bar, unrack it, and stand there. Just fucking stand there for 10 seconds.
Absolutely.
Right? If you can hold that weight, okay, you got potential, right? If you can't hold that weight or you're afraid to do that, we have some work to do. So strength is everything, right? Strength can move more things than any athletic person can, right? Because strength is the foundation. Strength is the courage. Strength is the confidence. Strength is, it's reliable.
Right.
I mean, it's going to do what it says it's going to do every single time. You know, think about buildings, right? Back in the day, our generation built great buildings, and generations before us built great buildings that aren't being torn down, right? That are passing major tests of time. You look at buildings going up today, they're done in 13, 14, 15 years. They're going in and rebuilding shit, repairing everything like that. That's like the athlete today.
Foundation.
That athlete today doesn't have a strength foundation. Why? Because they got to run fucking sprints when they're overweight. They have to take all these fucking these supplements and shit like that when they don't have a good diet, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They want to do all these different things when their schedule sucks and they don't have any routine that they live by, right? But they're doing all this performance enhancement stuff. They're doing all these athletic things. They got a trainer for every fucking aspect of the game, you know? But they're
This is my
missing
warm-up coach.
right. But they're missing the point. They're missing the point is that they're not strong, right? They're actually weak in every aspect.
Yeah.
If somebody's telling them that they're awesome because they can swing a bat this fast or they can do this, but guess what? They're pulling rib muscles and their abdominal muscles and their back's getting all jacked because they're swinging the bat harder, but their spine isn't stable.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's a good
mean?
point.
And that's where strength comes from. You got to load the spine. That gets it strong. So, that time under tension, think about it. How many times you squat heavy weight? A fuckload of times, right?
Yeah.
You don't squat as much as you run sprints. Most athletes run, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 sprints in a week of training, right?
Sure.
How many squats? 5,
Yeah.
6,
Good
depending
point.
on the program you're in.
Completely separate question. Favorite athlete? Kim comes to mind of yours.
Favorite athlete? Man, you got some water, bud?
Yeah.
Thanks, man. My mouth gets so dry when I talk.
This one, it's full.
Okay.
Completely full.
Good thing we got backup.
Alright, cool.
Andy, you're here for a reason.
I know.
Favorite athlete, athlete, not even a favorite, pin you down to like a GOAT or anything like that. First athlete that comes to mind that you'd like to talk about.
Wow, that's a tough one. I want to say, and it doesn't matter what sport.
No, it doesn't matter.
Man, I've never been asked that question before.
Off the mind, they're Brett Favre.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And again, not my favorite by any means. Too many great athletes out there for me to have a favorite.
Sure.
But I just loved the nasty attitude he brought to a position that is not known for that kind of attitude.
Sure.
The guy went and sought out Louis Simmons to learn how to get really strong.
Yeah.
And if you watch him throw those balls, man, his hands doing this and his legs are breaking that ground.
Sure.
Bang! It's just
Yeah.
a violent, just explosive power out of somewhere you can't even see. He just learned how to master his technique in a way that was a little different. Just had some grit. Remember, there's a mic'd up thing out there on YouTube or something. Someone from the Falcons comes up and just T-bones Favre right in the chest. He's like, man, they said you hit hard. That was just cool to me. I like.
Yeah. Was that Jim Flanagan from the Bears?
Was it?
Yeah, Jim Flanagan from the Bears.
That could have been, sure.
That's what he
I
said.
gotcha.
Yeah.
But, to me, that was cool. He just brought some fun and some tenacity and some grit to the game that I thought was just fun to watch.
Well, Coach, can I say, I don't have a favorite pro athlete, but I have a favorite high school athlete.
Let's hear it.
All right, his name is Matt Payne.
Okay.
And he actually, I built the speed school on this kid's shoulders because he was about 180 pounds and he squatted 615.
Dang.
615 box squat.
That is awesome.
So when he did that, he did it in a room full of other guys that were much bigger than he was, and he did it at about $180. And
Cool.
he was around 17 years old, 16, 17 years old. So, and when he hit that 615 squat, and it's on YouTube, it was fucking outrageous. He unracked it, dropped, popped back up. He actually hit the box really hard and then came back up. This kid was amazing. He actually finished out at 625. And at a 535 deadlift. He runs a 4.0 shuttle. He had a 4.3440.
He was electric.
He was electric.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is what stood out for me with Matt was the fact that this guy, every rep of every set counted for him.
Yeah.
He dug in. He was able to do things that I never saw another human being do.
That is cool.
I mean, when his back was up against the wall and he thought that he wasn't going to be able to finish, or somebody actually challenged him in a race, or somebody on the football field thought that, if he needed to change positions, he went from safety to running back. They put him at a running back. Kid scored touchdowns. All right, he was at safety. He was getting interceptions. When I watched this kid train, he loved training so much. If anybody competed against him in the weight room, and anybody competed against him on the field, or in doing any agility or sprint, this dude had another level.
That is cool.
Right? And to see a young man, I'm talking like a kid that's still in high school, right? Who was just starting to learn how to think for himself. To be able to take his level of commitment and work ethic to a spot that was unheard of at kids his age. You probably saw some things like that with Joey out of Oswego, right? Sure. Joey was at another level. He was a freak. Right?
I'm with
and he played at Notre Dame. He was a freak. That guy was just an amazing athlete. Didn't he play with the Rams too or something like that?
Yeah, played with Rams and Chargers, and a little bit from the Vikings. He played up to total 6 or 7 years.
So think about if you knew Brett Favre when Brett Favre was a kid back there in Mississippi. I think about that. Like, what did you see? And think about what Joey. Joey, you created him. You know what I mean? You and him created the right recipe for him to succeed, and that was awesome. Right? So you had a lot of involvement. You had a lot of things that contributed to that overall success of him. So that, for me with Matt, was like, every day was joy to watch this.
Yeah, sure. The kid he was a sponge. You spoke it, he sucked it up, boom, put it down.
He would go to training. He'd go to practice. He'd go to doubles. He'd practice twice. Come see me 2 hours every single night. run sleds up and down the fucking parking lot.
Yeah.
Push the prowler up and down the parking lot.
That's
2
what it
more
takes.
hours every day.
But we're going to wrap this interview up, and I'd like to do another one with you, Joe,
Sure,
because
yeah.
it's really cool. Quote from Ernie Lillibridge. Someone said, "What does it take?" Well, it takes everything.
Sure does.
So, Joe, can you plug what you got going on? I want people to know how to get a hold of you.
Sure.
Anything that, how can people get a hold of you to learn more about what you do?
Well, right now we are thespeedschool.net, speedschool.net, and from there we're actually going to convert into a rebranding process called CoreFSN. .com, and that stands for Core Fit Speed Nutrition. We also have Core Nutrition, which is in St. Charles. We're a protein shake facility.
Okay.
So we're right next to Dick Pond Shoes off at 31. And then we have adult fitness and we have kids speed and agility. So we have 6,400 square feet that we're developing right now. We're going from 3,200 to 6,400 square feet.
Cool.
We have also full-time physical therapy. We have a doctor of physical therapy, Abby Shank. She's with us too, so she does running analysis. She's excellent. She's an athlete herself. So we have full-time physical therapy, full-time adult small group training, PT classes, youth. So we start at age 6 and go all the way up till you're fucking dead, right? Sure. Adult classes, youth classes. Eventually we'll have some boxing in there. Throwing a little bit of a mix. Our focus is just about education, educating, motivating, and help people dominate their lives.
Okay.
But if you don't know why you're doing it, then that's a hard time. It's harder if you don't have a why. It's harder to go out and actually do.
Yeah, no doubt.
So just a total person.
Cool, man.
Thanks,
I appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate
I'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
Gentlemen, we'll see you around. Thank you.
Cool.